say that.
What am I? I'm your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, my covenant partner, Brenda McCain. Thank you very much for listening with us. And we're about to go to a different segment. I think Dion said our caller is on the line. So, baby, introduce our new caller for Making Marriage
Work. We have Dr. Cornelius A. Rogers from Advocate Healthcare on the line. How you doing, doctor?
I'm doing great.
Oh, well, you sound great. You still
there? It's been a good day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been a great day.
Hey, so we're hoping we've got you for the 15 minutes because we had another doctor on there that had to leave us because he had a heart surgery. So we hope we're going to have you for the remaining of the time. So what we want to talk about a little bit with you is just heart healthiness, but in a kind of a marriage kind of relationship of two couples understanding the need to be concerned about each other and their conditioning.
Well, marriage is a team. It works better if done in a teamwork fashion. Let me put it that way. And so that's diet. It consists of diet. And typically when you're doing dieting and dietary planning, you're shopping, you're at least making some, you probably be nice to have both people on their diet plan, so you're getting the same groceries for both of you. So that process is, so having some consistent working together relationship on that would be good from a heart perspective. And your activities, should probably, can be more heart healthy related, talking about exercise and probably the avoidance of situations that like smoke-filled rooms, things like that. If you like to hang out there's probably, smoke-filled rooms. I guess nowadays there are less of those in public places, but that's clearly not good health. Heart, if you're thinking from a heart perspective, not probably a good plan. And then there's rest, and so working together and being on the same page is probably, I guess it's almost obvious. It's probably a good thing to do.
Dr. Rogers, question for you: what are some heart healthy diet plans or foods should we avoid?
A lot easier question actually than foods to eat, because I would say fatty foods, processed meats. That would be just to start a simple answer. Sweets, the pastries.
You mean all sweets?
Not all sweets, but, in moderation, everything in moderation. But, donut a day is not exactly a good plan. We do that, but sometimes. But, sometimes, I would say, sometimes if you, as some people say, if you party by night, you'll pay by day. And, so somewhere along the line, you're going to have to pay your dues. And so if you eat bad, if you can, make some comeback on that, restrict something else, exercise more perhaps, so there's, it's not an absolute don't eat it, but it's probably, like I say, in moderation is probably the best process.
So talk to me a little bit about,
say.
You were saying about, it's better to talk about the foods that you should eat. Tell us a little bit about the foods that we should eat and some of the reasons why we should eat that to remain with a healthy heart.
Well, you want to probably avoid, and this is kind of hard I like to put it into, let me approach from a category perspective. Let's talk about milk and in the dairy category. If you're going to do in that category, you want to avoid 2% or whole milk. So
Really?
Evaporated skim milk, yes, and yogurt from skim milk or skim milk is probably going to be a better low-fat, more of a low-fat, low-cholesterol form of, in that category.
What about the not the coconut milk? What about
wait a minute? We talking
walnut,
about the ones we should
milk.
be eating, right?
No, I'm actually the ones the ones recommended would be skim or 1%. Avoid 2% or whole milk.
Almond?
Well, I can say I'm not exactly sure about that. I can tell you that coconuts can actually be a problem, so if they're, and I'm not sure what that's, I don't think people talk about coconut milk or so like that. Coconuts can be a problem, but I'm not sure about almonds. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay, Dr. Rogers, you just blew me away. How about avocados? Are they good?
Avocados are probably, actually, I'm probably hedging on that. Probably not, actually, but probably not, actually. I'm going to put in the probably not category. They don't talk a lot about in terms of heart-healthy avocados, but I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah, you blowing it, man.
So let me ask you this, Doctor. I know you have sometimes where we're not going to go through the whole list of foods you shouldn't and should eat because we'd be on here all day with him. But I will say this: you have a family is going in, a husband and a wife, and most of the times it's the hard-headed man that's not eating the right way, and the wife is in there with them. How do you help them to discover the best way to maintain their heart?
Well, if you're talking about, well, you're right. Actually, to some extent, although believe it or not, I have a number of patients men, patients that'll come in and they'll tell me they have to sort of avoid some of the things that their significant other or spouse is, their plans, and they're actually, believe it or not, sometimes more focused. But whoever you're talking to, because sometimes you don't have the opportunity to talk to both of the couple. Whoever you're talking to, you advise them and you're giving them some written information, so that, and you can tell them where their direction should be. And a lot of times typically with a lot of things, you have to change yourself first. You have to work on yourself without going in and trying to get the other person to do something. So, you can encourage, but too much encouragement, you can, wind up being an irritant, and a person would turn you off. Your spouse or significant other would turn you off. So, first of all, the person has to work with themselves. So, you start telling a person what to do, the other person, and you're not doing it yourself, your credibility will go down. So, the best thing is to start with yourself and do it and encourage and be supportive. And when you see that person that willing to get up and go for a walk with you and do that, encourage them. But, you got to go for a walk. You got to get on the bike. Wow. And so, I guess I would say fortunately, probably, I have typically only one person to deal with, even though that other person is in the picture, and that person may often tell me they would like to get their spouse to do some of those things. I usually advise them to do the healthy thing themselves.
Well, I'm going to tease you here, Dr. Rogers.
Okay,
I think the lovely wife name is Sherry, is it?
It is.
Okay,
yes.
So she's on board with you, or you on board with her, and all you do to keep a strong, healthy heart, right?
Well, we kind of probably, kind of wax and wanes a little bit, so I'm probably more consistently the exercise person, and she's more consistently the probably, believe it or not, eats better. And she's a physician also, so we're both kind of moving around, and we weren't doing very well. So what we actually were fortunate enough to have a chef prepare food for a couple of, for
we need to
for
hang
two.
out with you.
I'm telling we got to come to your
All
house.
right, dinner tomorrow, your house.
Teach us how to eat right, Dr. Cornelius.
We talked to the chef and told her what we were looking for, and for 4 days of the week she'll prepare 2 meals, and she was actually coming by initially as she got started, was preparing them at the house on Tuesday, but then now she's actually, I guess, it has expanded and prepares them in her kitchen.
Wow.
So yeah, that's. But what we were doing, coming home at one point, after work and not cooking, and then going doing the fast food things. And actually, reality, if you do that consistently, you're not actually doing it yourself at home. Economically, it's actually not that much different because you spend a lot of money going out, buying out, and traveling. So it's probably actually, believe it or not, slightly more expensive. But if you're not at home preparing that food, of course, that's the least expensive. But if you're not doing that, then it's healthier probably to contract with somebody to do that, and in that way we'll be eating better, and like I say, it's actually not that much different. Yeah.
Dr. Cornelius, this is Tracy here, and I wanted to ask you a question about exercising with your spouse. I know that's a really hard thing to do sometimes, especially if you're not both on this same level. So do you ever exercise with your wife or encourage couples to exercise together?
That is actually it's a good thing if you can, but it can be frustrating if you're on a different level. Years ago, I did a lot of bike riding, and when I rode, I almost called it the ride with the spouse a charity ride. You just, I know, I didn't say that, with the fellas, you say that one. It's a charity ride.
Right. I'm the only one that heard you.
Okay. But it's not that ride that you get out there where you're really going, and it's more of you're kind of going at a different pace. So a slower pace if you're not with somebody who's at that level. So what I would say is, where I would do that would do the I'm gonna say it one more time, the charity ride, but then have some other time where you do the ride that you do. So if that's what you like to do, it's good to do it together because it's a good exercise and it's fun, and it doesn't always have to be grueling, and you don't have to be training for the Olympics every time you get on the bike. So so I would say just do some things together and then do your own thing. You do it at your pace, and that way you're not frustrated, you're not discouraged from doing it, and you're not complaining. About you're not pushing the other person to try to do something that maybe they can't do. Because who are you to say that they can do that and should do that? What we did was actually one of the things was we did some time with a personal trainer, and we would both work with our trainer individually. We did some a Zumba class regularly, and that was something that I wasn't real good at, and neither one of us were had all the Zumba moves. You have to learn the Zumba moves.
Yeah.
And personal trainer. Yeah. I am jealous. Introduce me to a
But
friend.
you know what, babe? You going to jump in right now?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say you're listening to Let's Stay Together show. We're talking to Dr. Cornelius Rogers on Making Marriage Work. And, Doctor, I want to ask you this question real quick. I want you to go to a two-part for me. I want you to help couples or anyone, actually, with the prevention of being concerned about a heart attack, and help those who have had a heart attack what things that they should do to make sure or to help ease the possibility of another heart attack coming.
Okay, I heard you say that first the prevention, and some of the risk factors that you want to address are your cholesterol level, whether or not you smoke, whether or not you have high blood pressure, and the blood pressure being controlled or not controlled. So you want to control those factors, and you want to, I would say, exercise in the terms of just improve your circulation and your blood flow, and that keeps the blood flowing through all your body parts. So exercise and keeping moving, stretching. And weights are actually, some people don't say they don't like weights, but weights are actually good to increase your muscle mass, and that's helpful to increase your metabolism. So, if there's weight issues, You can manage your weight, although weight is not necessarily a risk factor for heart disease. So, cholesterol management, blood pressure management, smoking, those are, the known, clear, documented risk factors for heart disease.
Before you go to the other part, you shocked me with something. Weight is not a contributing factor for heart attacks? I mean, because most people think if you're overweight, that can cause pressure on your heart. So could you explain that a little bit to our listening audience?
Well, what I would say to that is, as an individual risk factor for heart disease, it's not, but it tends to be related to other things like a high cholesterol, like perhaps diabetes. You're more tendency to have diabetes. I didn't mention that one also too, which can lead to, artery disease. So in a sense that it is more associated with those other things that lead to it, and that's probably why you see that as that. But independently, a person that's overweight could have a normal cholesterol level, not smoke, have good blood pressure, and that happens often. And you see people, and one of the reasons probably from a heart perspective, you see people that are in their 80s and 90s that are overweight. They don't have that artery disease. They may have other problems and like I say, those things are more associated with, you see them associated with high blood pressure and diabetes, but they themselves, a person that doesn't have that is not necessarily any more likely to have, heart disease and artery disease. Just from the, let's say, obesity diagnosis and perspective itself, it's through the association with other things perhaps, but not just independently from that.
Hey, I've got a question that's coming from someone from our Facebook audience. I've got actually a text. It says, will you ask the doctor about heart for the senior person? How is their functions different? She wants to know about, the heart for a senior person compared to someone maybe a little younger age.
Well, as you age, the heart and arteries become more rigid. So you might see one of the levels, the systolic or the upper level, be a little bit higher than, and maybe more difficult to control as you get older because of the rigidity of the muscles, and the heart is a muscle, and it becomes not as flexible as you get older. But the fact that it's almost like, as I say, with obesity and heart disease, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can have somebody who's in their 80s who has a very good, well-functioning heart. And to some extent, I think that has a lot to do with whether they exercised or not, whether they kept the heart as a muscle and whether you kept it beating regularly and the pressure was low. So as you get old, there's nothing that says you're old and you should not exercise. Your heart's not going to work. If you haven't been exercising, it may not function as well as somebody who has been, but it is a muscle, and it has the ability to change and to improve its function. So, there's nothing that says you're a certain age and you shouldn't do this. You should probably maybe do it if you haven't been doing it, do it on a more monitored basis where you're following those different blood pressure functions and heart rate functions, and you're paying attention to the symptoms that you might be having, or somebody's helping you pay attention to them. But I would not say I would not pick an age and say don't do it because this is going to be a problem at that age. People are individuals, and that's variable. I would say. As people say, consult your physician before starting an exercise program.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, but I would not look at any age and say I don't think I should do that.
I have another question, Dr. Cornelius. Brenda and I were talking earlier about the fact that a lot of times physicians don't take women serious with heart problems. I actually have a daughter who's 33 and has a heart condition, and it took her like all her life to be diagnosed. Do you feel that? I mean, why is it that women aren't taken as serious? You may totally disagree with that.
Well, maybe some people don't, and I think historically, heart rates and heart problems, heart attacks, at one point was thought to be more of a man problem. Is that type A personality type, and as times change, but however, it was up to a certain point, and it was also thought that estrogen levels were somewhat protective and helpful in producing artery disease. But as that, let's say postmenopausal, what they noticed was that the incidence of heart disease and heart attacks actually equalized at a certain point. And then I think also there may be some other factors of, the workforce is changing, and you have your type A personality types, executives and women, and so you may be seeing some of the now, more of acceptance and those problems being problems that women can have. So if you notice a change in that and why before it wasn't as much, it may somewhat be reflective of the age, younger, less of a heart disease in younger women, and then there's changing in, I guess, the workforce demographics of, going more towards, it being a cross-gender, executive and leadership, positions. So, we have to pay, people, and I would say, and that's some people probably. Some people have probably always paid attention and listened to the patients, regardless who they were, and paid attention to their symptoms. And because clearly you can look at trends and say it might not be. I was talking to a woman just recently. I can say I don't think that it is, but you know what? I don't really want you to leave here and rest on my thinking. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to let's do a little something to make sure that it is not. And I'm pretty comfortable advising that this symptom was probably not coming from the heart, but let's not, because there are a lot of circumstances that says, well, it could be, this runs strongly in your family, and I don't think so. But let's take it a step further, and let's at least let's ask some more questions and see, and maybe consider doing some tests to make sure it's not. As I was saying to her, sometimes we have a tendency to think that more is better, and that's not necessarily the case. So just sending somebody off for a stress test, everybody off for a stress test or a cardiac, angiogram or catheterization is not necessarily better. I was saying to her that appropriate is better. The right thing is better, and not just, doing everything if that's not appropriate, because sometimes you have complications from doing the test, and you would like not to do a test and have cause a problem. So right is best.
Dr. Rogers, talk to us about omega-3 and omega-6. Why is that such a key component when it comes to heart health?
Just in terms of plaque formation and artery formation. And a lot is not really completely known about that. There's so many other factors. You can look at one thing and say, okay, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to focus on that. And we know that there's other factors, but it is shown those things in particular seem to be more associated with plaque formation. And we talk about plaques. You're talking about cholesterol, you're talking about the triglycerides and all those things that formulate to make to cause narrowing of the arteries. But we know that somebody could have everything that looks really bad, and then we find that some people, for some reason, don't have a problem with artery disease. And on paper, you would say, well, this doesn't make sense. And through that, logically, you can only conclude that there's something else that we don't know. that's going on, and that's what I would say. So it's more associated with artery disease, but we don't know all the factors and other things that things we don't know.
So should I, because I take fish oil every day, is that okay to continue to take that?
That is okay, certain amounts. I would say that one thing we saw with vitamin E at one point, it was thought that would be a nice antioxidant, and it would actually help prevent artery disease, and people were taking a lot of it. Then they found that wasn't necessarily a good idea, that there should be a limitation on the amount that's taken in. And I would say that I'm not typically a trendy person. I like to actually, I pay attention to the research, but I'm not quick to jump to doing that, because you probably, in our lifetime, you probably know many times that we've started things and have found out, sometime later that wasn't a good idea. So I tend to pay it, not like I say, to think that in moderation, think of, more natural things as opposed to medicines, just an example for things like managing constipation. We're going to prune juice, vegetables, fiber, let's go along there, as opposed to taking something, exotic, and I can't really tell you. I mean, several medications out for that. My approach tends to be more to try to do things more naturally and, and without medications if possible.
Well, Doctor, we thank you for being on the show. We hope we can bring you back again to help us out with some of the heart healthy matters. We want to see if we can go through something with you real quick. You think you got a few minutes for the McCain Train Express? We asked a couple of fun questions just to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Okay, baby, go ahead.
Okay, it's going to go real fast, Doctor. And the first
okay.
Doctor, he can go fast.
If you had to choose between a Jaguar and a Benz, which one would you pick?
I picked the Benz.
Were you a teacher's pet or class clown?
Whoa. Man, I probably more the pet, but I went through the clown phase at times, at moments.
If you could live on the East Coast or the West Coast, which one would you choose?
Neither, actually. Probably the East Coast, actually. Yeah, East Coast.
Okay. Now, this is one that's a bad one, but you're craving fast food burgers, White Castles, or Culver's?
White Castles or Culver's, you say? No, I'm going to Culver's. Are you kidding? No, I got that one. Yeah.
Okay. It's Friday night. Are you painting the town or watching your favorite show?
I'm watching my favorite show.
Hey, you Gladys Knight or Aretha Franklin?
Gladys Knight.
Deep dish pizza or home run in?
Deep dish.
You're more excited about free tickets to the Super Bowl or World Series?
Oh, wow, that's an interesting one. I think I'll go Super Bowl. One game, World Series, a bunch of games. Huh? Okay.
Would you rather vacation in Hawaii or Aruba?
Hawaii. More technology usually there in parts of it. I kind of like to be in a warm place, but I like some conveniences. I don't like to rough it too much. A little more roughing it down there in Aruba, I think.
If you had to choose one meat to eat for the rest of your life, would it be steak or chicken?
Chicken.
Okay. Well, what would you do to change about yourself if you could? I was going to say your weight or your hair, but you're a man, so I'm not sure how that would go.
Man, that's fading fast, so we're going to just stay off of the hair thing because I can't do much. I can't do much about that anyway, so I want to focus on the weight. Yeah, I would say weight, yeah.
It's a milestone birthday, then there's a big party for Dr. Rogers with your friends. Did you plan it, or were you surprised?
I didn't plan it. I was, and I probably knew about it. No, I didn't. I knew about it. Yeah, too much control in there, person over. I knew about, but actually, I wouldn't. I'd probably go along with somebody surprise me. I wouldn't be. I'm okay with that. But that's never happened, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Then we have to speak to Sherry. Make that happen.
Yes.
You're a world famous musician. Are you blowing the horn or playing the guitar?
Oh, I'm playing the guitar.
Okay. You get to be a superhero to your 4 children. Are you Superman or Batman?
Superman.
Okay. You Star Wars or Star Trek?
I think I'll go with. Oh, that's a tough one. I like the technology in Star Wars, and but Star Trek has a little bit better history over there, long history, and get around a little bit more. So, that's a hard one. I'll go with Star Trek.
Okay. Hey, Doctor, let people know how they can get in contact with you if they're looking for a good chiropractor, chiropractor. I'm talking about my back now. Cardiologist that they like to go to.
Yeah, I'm already looking him up.
Well, and I would refer somebody to that cardiologist. I'm in internal medicine, so if they reach me with 708-730-2200. That's my office number. If they come in for a consultation, I would get them. I work with so many good physicians, cardiologists that I know. And but also, we mentioned that you say chiropractor. I'm actually a certified massage therapy, and I work with chiropractors.
Right.
And see, I was going to do a triple threat for you. I wanted to tell people that,
and she didn't tell me.
He is this is a triple threat doctor over here. He works with Advocate Right, Physicians Partners Healthcare.
Yes,
he's a massage therapist and a life coach, right?
Yes.
See?
Yes.
Can they get 3 for 1 with you, or these are separate?
I work them in. I work it in that way. Because you have to actually, you're working with, prescribing medication, trying to get results. You have to, be creative and motivating people. So therein lies the life coaching. I don't do as much as massage therapy. I hardly anymore. I work with in a chiropractor's office a couple of hours, and so I know what the therapy can do, but I don't usually do much of the massage therapy. I'm more of internal medicine and coaching, and trying to get outcomes and people to change the behavior so that they get better outcomes. So I do incorporate the life coaching in the practice.
Hey, well, Doctor, thank you very much. I'm glad my wife told me that you're in internal medicine now. But because of that, now we know that we can definitely have you back to talk about some additional things. And so we really appreciate you giving, us about 30 minutes of your time to talk about, heart healthy and giving us some information on living a longer life. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Well, I'd be a pleasure to come back, and I hope I said something that helped somebody, and so by all means, and like I say, if you would like me back, if you feel I've helped somebody, then I'll come back.
Oh, definitely, we'll have you back because we're going to have some more medical things that's coming up on our show. So